What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am an herbalist and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me throughout all this time. I've been doing this for like 4.5 years now. Thank you for being here, a part of this project. If you want to support, you want to send me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, that is super, super helpful. It continues to be the best way to support this project. You can go to Patreon and get the electional report that I produce every month, which will help you to launch your projects at a good time and not at a rough time in the skies. You can go to Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, whatever your favorite streaming service is, and check out Can't Help Myself. You can send it to a friend. You can leave me a loving comment. I really appreciate all of that. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. This week, I feel like not very much wants to, that's not true. A lot wants to take place, but not very much actually is able to take place this week. Here's how I'm thinking about that. So with Mercury turning direct, Mercury is turning direct at this point. We've had Mercury retrograde for a little while now. That has been wild. I don't know how you guys have been feeling about that, but I know that I have certainly dealt with some major tech issues. There's been a lot of stuff where it's like, like you're aware, like my friend, for example, and I've had a few instances like this as well, where it's like, you know that going the direct way of driving, right? Knowing that the direct way is not going to work. So we try to go the back way and then get cut off again. And so no matter what, delays are happening and that sort of stuff, right? It's been that kind of Mercury retrograde. This has been a super messy Mercury retrograde, partially because Venus has been in Virgo, which has been super critical. Venus is now in Libra, which is very helpful for that. But still, Neptune is in Pisces, opposite to that Mercury. Also, Mercury stationing direct this week is stationing very closely trine to Pluto, and then is going to move forward and make a much stronger exact trine to Pluto throughout the week. So, and both of these are moving super slow. Pluto, in fact, is stationing direct as well. So Pluto is more or less stationary in the sky, and Mercury is also kind of stationary, as at least definitely from Mercury standards. These two are just like very slow and in this trine aspect to one another. So we do like to see a trine. A trine feels supportive or helpful or friendly or something like this, right? So it's not a square to Pluto, which can sometimes be violent and crazy or this kind of thing. We'd like to see the trine here, but there's definitely something with Pluto that is like deeply felt. It is deeply underneath the surface. Like it's hard to put your finger on it, especially when we remember that Mercury is also opposite to Neptune, which can be confounding. This can be a situation where it's like hard to remember what's going on, or remember, it's like a little bit when you like walk into the next room and you forgot what you went in there for. You was like looking for something, and then the whole shit spaces on you. Neptune is a little bit like that, right? So it's a little bit like having that kind of confusion, while at the same time this trine to Pluto like makes it feel all really super deep and powerful and maybe meaningful and that sort of stuff. And it's like, I don't even know how to deal with this sometimes, right? And so there's all of this slowness and all of this confusion, and none of it feels clear. At the same time, we've got Mars in Gemini in the square to Mercury in Virgo. We can recall that Mercury in Virgo is ruling that Mars in Gemini as well, right? And so it feels like urgency. It feels like we got to get something going. We got to do something right now. And yet Mars is also super slow at this point. Mars is getting ready to station retrograde. So Mars at this point right now is at 20 degrees of Gemini. When Mars stations retrograde on the 30th, it's going to be at 25 degrees of Gemini. So this is super, between now for this whole month, Mars is only going to move 5 degrees. So this is super slow. This is not Mars being able to go and like handle business and do all the stuff, especially since it's ruled by that Mercury who's hella confused and feeling super emotional. So this doesn't look like a time where a lot of shit is getting done. To my mind, I'm kind of into that. Like I feel the urgency. I'm definitely feeling the crunch. I'm feeling like I got to get shit done. I got to produce my little products, and I have to do, like I definitely on a personal level, I feel that. And I know on like global level that is going on, not only for each person, but also for, political influencers and this sort of stuff, right? But I don't feel like it actually is possible. I don't feel like stuff is actually taking place this week, which to my mind feels like, it's hard for conflicts to escalate and this sort of thing under this kind of sky. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely possible for people to feel feelings about stuff. And there's definitely possibility of like sabotaging things that are underground or underneath the sea, right? There's like room for that sort of stuff. And so there's definitely room for things to happen. But like, I don't feel like, the response to that, or I don't feel like, I don't feel like major moves take place this week. And I'm kind of into that. I kind of like the little break that we're looking at with that. We also see that Venus is in Libra at this point, right? And so we love to see Venus in the home sign of Libra looking like grace and elegance and maybe an ability. Like, one of my favorite Venus and Libra words is diplomacy. I really like Venus and Libra for being diplomatic. At the same time, we're looking at this full moon. So we've got a full moon at the end of the week here. And so the full moon in Aries is opposite to the sun and Venus in Libra. Full moon in Aries also has Jupiter nearby. So both the sun and the moon have benefics hanging out in the signs, looking like they want to say yes to things, looking like they want to confirm things, looking like they want to sort of bring a sense of beneficence, productivity, help, improvement to the situation. And doing that from the like Venus and Libra diplomacy, balance, harmony kind of space. You know what I mean? Like, there's a strong element of like working with relationships in a way that I think is really potentially beneficial through this time. If things are not happening at a super productive or strong rate, like you feel the urgency and it's like, oh, I want to go and do all the stuff really fast and handle it, but that's not working for whatever reason, then it might be a good time to sort of like take a moment and assess, see what's going on, and then like getting this like view of how everything is in relationship to one another, right? And I feel like, when we get into places of urgency, then it's like, it's easy to be like, everything is right here. And so I really want to like pay attention to the stuff right there. But if you like zoom out a little bit and just be like, okay, well, hold on. There's like that point of contact is probably not the motivating force for what's going on here. And so how can we zoom out and see a more holistic picture? And if we do that, then we can sort of arrange things in relationship to each other in a way that doesn't necessarily focus on the one specific thing that everybody is so riled up about. You know what I mean? And especially, as we see riled up emotions taking place here, we can remember that Mercury and Pluto are together. So there's likely to be, like speaking to this deep felt sense of things and that sort of stuff, right? Seeing that come out. And then Pluto is often associated with death or pain, or, like not even necessarily like specifically death, but like that sort of like transformative death that you see in like the death card in tarot and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of major transformative plays taking place. And then like Mercury wants to speak to that. Mercury wants to communicate what's going on there. And so we can definitely see how things want to get super riled up in this moment. But maybe there's a way to Venus and Libra that be like, okay, like I understand that this is that big emotions are taking place, and we don't even necessarily want to invalidate those emotions. It's okay for folks to be feeling big feelings around that. However, those are not the only feelings that are taking place here. Other people have feelings as well. And so how can we sort of navigate the relationship of this whole thing? I'm actually sort of feeling pretty good about this full moon at this point. Like it definitely looks like it's in position to confirm whatever Mars is doing, and I'm like a little edgy about that or whatever. But like, you know, by and large, this is going to be one of our full moons that gives us some potential for harmony and balance and that sort of thing. If you would like to harmonize with the Zamboni Funk Project and you want to send me a tip, if you want to go to Spotify and check out Can't Help Myself, if you just want to be nice in the comment section, I super appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Peace and blessings to the fam.